But through doing social return on, through doing theory of change work, we've learned 5 lessons that we think are critical, and this is what I'm going to finish on. Focus on the impact, not the activity. So you're all out there doing stuff. Generally, when you ask someone, what they do, they can tell you. When you ask them what the impact is, they struggle a bit. But really, we're in the impact business. And so it might be that you want to get across the ocean. Well, is building a bridge the best thing to do? So focus on impact, not the activity. Get the foundations right. So as we said, that's the context, the stakeholders, the evidence, the beliefs that are driving you. Because if you don't get those foundations in place and you only start with the money you've got, then actually you're not going to build effectively. Beware of miracle leaps. How many people are familiar with the term miracle leaps? Nope. So in the theory of change space, and this happened when I went into work at United Way. So I turned up at United Way as the chief exec. They just won a Theory of Change award. So I thought I was going into this organization that was, amazing, doing amazingly well. And I was like, what's the theory of change of what you do? Now, I knew them for something that they'd done in the homelessness space, that they'd stopped. 85% of their work was in the early learning space, where they went, we send books to kids in disadvantage. So we go into disadvantaged area, we saturate the area with books, I'd sign people up to programs, and then we send books to their home. And then these kids learn to read, and then developmental vulnerability will be reduced. That was effectively their theory of change. Can anyone tell me what the miracle leaps within that are? One of them is really simple, one of them is a bit more complicated.
That they'd know how to read?
Exactly, right? So they know how to read. All the research says that if you want to get kids to read, I've got a 3-year-old, so if you want to get kids to read, you actually have to engage with the parents. Sending a book through the door is not going to get a child to read. You actually have to have some sort of parental engagement process. And so I was like, what do we do to engage the parents? Nothing. Why not? We just send the books. It's our unique selling point. I'm like, we're giving the books away. We're not selling them. We don't need a unique selling point here. Why aren't we working with the local libraries? They're the competition. I'm like, they're a free service. They're not the competition. But this was an organization that had come, they're a big US organization. They were funding driven. They were like, we've got a product we can sell to funders. Do not interfere with that process by giving us your miracle leap bullshit. We actually just want to sell books to funders and have funders buy it. The second most significant miracle leap is developmental vulnerability is assessed on 5 things. So it's the AECD, and I can't remember them all, but it's like physical health, mental health, resilience, communication, and one other. So giving a child a book does one of the 5 things. It doesn't do anything on the other 4. And so I had Think Impact come in and do work with the team when I was the chief exec. And I remember Ross at one point talking to one of the staff and was like, well, maybe one of the things we have to do is change the goal. And rather than saying we're going to reduce early childhood developmental vulnerability, what we should say is we're going to improve early childhood literacy. And this person went, no, we're going to reduce developmental vulnerability. And it's like, but you're only doing one of the 5 things. That's like saying you want to win a triathlon and all you do is run. And the person went, we run really well. And Ross was like, but you don't swim or cycle. And they went, but we run really, really well. Believe harder. And so they were just stuck in that miracle leap, that if we do this one thing, we're going to shift the dial on 5 things. And so thankfully the head of community impact in the organization got this, and she started reconfiguring, she joined just after me, reconfiguring all the programs in the areas they were working with to build collaborations, to pull people in that were nutrition organizations and kids' mental health organizations, because it's going, well, if that's the goal, we need to actually work differently. So we see miracle leaps in people's thinking all the time. Don't overlook the underlying issues. So there's a whole model out there called the iceberg theory of systems change, and I see this a lot in the employment space, which is my background of someone's unemployed, we just need to get them a job search course to get them a job. Well, not if there's lots of unemployed people in the area. And actually what you're finding is that there's structural unemployment because a factory's just closed down, or there's institutional unemployment because of racism that exists or mental health stigma. And so you actually need to look at all the structural and systemic issues that are there to actually understand what you should be doing to make the change. And then the last one is measuring impact, and we as I say, we do the homage to the original Kellogg's model, but our experience is it's not linear. You don't go input, activity, outputs, outcomes. It's a lot more fluid than that, and within that you've got to find the right level of complexity for you and your organisation.